this turns on. Good morning. Welcome to the November 4th, 2022 State Board of Education meeting. Commissioner Bloomstead informed the board he wouldn't be absent from this November meeting due to a national meeting he is attending. Deputy Commissioner Friesen is attending the meeting in his place today. Maureen Nichols also informed me that she would not be in attendance. Board members, please engage your microphones before speaking and turn them off when you are done speaking. Please note that the board members may be using their cell phones and laptop computers to access the agenda and information related to this meeting. Live web streaming is available through the State Board of Education. The November 4th, 2022 State Board meeting will now come to order. Andrea, please call the roll.
Patsy Kojans.
Here.
Lisa Fricke. Here. Patty Goebbels.
Here.
Jacqueline Morrison.
Here.
Kirk Penner.
Here.
Maureen Nichols. Robin Stevens.
Present.
Deborah Neary.
Here.
Deputy Commissioner Friesen.
Here.
7 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Andrea. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Information regarding the Open Meeting Act is posted as you enter the room from the main entrance doors. The Open Meeting Act is also posted on the State Board of Education website. Agenda item 2.1, Deputy Commissioner Friesen or Jacqueline Morrison will introduce Omaha North STEM program and pathways. And I believe we decided on you, Jacqueline, since it's your group.
Thank you. So sometimes we as board members get opportunities to showcase the great things that are happening in our district and also highlight what students are doing and learning, and to find ways that we can listen to you and determine how we can be of assistance and continue to help your growth. So for my opportunity, I have decided to invite Omaha North High School. They have an exemplary STEM program within their school. Recently, OPS also instituted a Pathways program so that we can start talking to high school students earlier about their career opportunities and making sure that we set them on a path that's successful. So I have invited Omaha North. I'd ask you guys to come up and we'd like to hear your presentation.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? Okay. Well, thank you very much for having us here. We are excited to be here and to represent all the wonderful things that are happening at Omaha North and in the Omaha North community. And so, Jacqueline, thank you for inviting us here and the rest of the board for letting us participate.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Gutierrez, and I'm a curriculum specialist at Omaha North High School. We have a long-standing tradition of history and excellence as well as innovation. So the picture on the left of the slide is the front of our building. Our doors opened in 1924, and we're actively planning our centennial celebration that's coming up soon, and we feel it represents our rich history and prominence in the North Omaha community. The picture on the left is our Haddock Center, which is an addition at the back of our school, which was a privately funded $8.5 million renovation that opened in 2010. We're proud of it because the initial proposal for the idea was originally created by North engineering students during their SAME competition, which is an engineering competition for the Society of American Military Engineers. And our students worked with RDG Engineering throughout the project development to add that. Since this opening in 2010, we've also added 2 additional renovated spaces to support our specialized STEM courses.
I neglected to introduce myself, and I apologize for that. My name is Michelle Porter, and this is my 18th year at Omaha North, and I am a curriculum specialist as well that's in charge of working with all of the academies and pathways at North High School. And we are actually in year 2 or phase 2 of the implementation of wall-to-wall, moving from a pocket academy to a wall-to-wall academy for our whole school. So we are not new to academies and pathways. We've had a pocket academy for 8 years at North, and that Pocket Academy reached model status just this year, 2022, and we are very proud of that. And so as a part of this implementation, we are actually in replication model of bringing in new academies and or these small learning communities within our building. As a Pocket Academy, we had students that opted into the program and many students that were not a part of the program. As we move wall to wall in trying to provide equity and access for all of our students, we want all of our students to have opportunities for internships, to meet with our business partners, to work with mentors, to go on field trips, to have college visits, and we have lots and lots of business partners and industry partners and upper level or post-secondary partners that are helping and working with us in that. As a part of this implementation, and as we were working with, as OPS was working with J Steel and Steel Dynamics to create our strategic plan of action for the next few years, we really focused on the H3s, or the high wage, high demand, high skill areas that are needed in the Nebraska area, in a hope to keep and retain our students after high school and after their post-secondary learning in whatever avenue that is, whether it be trades, college, university, or an apprenticeship. And we want them to stay and continue to improve the community that they work in.
So in conjunction with our career academies and pathways, we also offer several advanced academic opportunities we wanted to highlight. We currently have 25 College Board advanced placement courses, as well as 36 dual enrollment courses. And our higher education partners for dual enrollment are Metro, University of Nebraska Omaha, and Midland University. Additionally, we currently offer the most advanced level math courses in Nebraska, such as Calculus 3, differential equations, and linear algebra. The class of 2022 currently holds the record for the highest amount of scholarships earned, with a grand total of $15 million. But as you'll see today, the class of 2023 is feeling like a record-breaking group as well. Across all of our academic opportunities, we're working with students to build these 6 characteristics that embody the portrait of an Omaha Public Schools graduate. Personally, I am most proud of how we elevate student voice in our school governance at Omaha North. It's very important to us. One example is our student ambassador group, which we started 8 years ago. The mission of that group is to positively promote and represent the opportunities available at Omaha North High School through their civic and global contributions. So we have 3 of our ambassadors here today to tell you more about our specific career academies.
I need to switch the slide. Hi, I'm Vivian Landis, and I'm a senior at North, and I'm personally a part of the Computer Science and Technology Academy. This academy empowers students to step into the roles of either a producer or programmer, and it helps them make the leap from investigation to innovation. And within this academy, there are 4 pathways, starting with the PLTW Computer Science pathway. It exposes students to programming language to develop websites. And then we have the Cybersecurity and Coding pathway, which explores computer and mobile device fundamentals to secure systems. And then the Computer Networking pathway teaches the fundamentals of device hardware to install operating systems. And then finally, there's the Audio-Video Production pathway, and this studies digital communication through interactive media production. I've personally been a part of the Audio-Video Production pathway all 4 years of high school. We learn various skills, and it's very Adobe heavy. So I've learned how to use Photoshop, Premiere Rush, and Pro, as well as Adobe Animate. And some personal projects I've worked on are PBS News reporting labs. So I'm taking news stories and turning them into like a video format. I'm also working on a project called Generational Vikings. So I'm reaching out to alumni of North and helping to tell their stories. And then as a capstone class, I'm also working on just the senior video to help document the memories that my class is making.
Hi, my name is Jaylee Gonzalez, and I'm a senior. I'm in the Engineering and Design Academy. The Engineering and Design Academy empowers students to step in the role of an engineer, adopt a problem-solving mindset, and make the leap from dreaming to achieving. Our pathways are mechanical design, which uses computer-aided technology to design parts and products. Another one is PLTW engineering, which explores aspects of engineering through the design process. Precision machining uses advanced computerized machinery to create parts. Robotics and automation combines computer science and engineering to automate processes through robots. I am personally in PLT engineering, and in my capstone class, we're currently working on a mobile tiny home through ACE Mentor program, and it involves a lot of critical thinking because we have to figure out how to use our space wisely and make sure that we're getting the most out of our product. Our mentors will help us a lot with that, and we also need to be able to create more space with such little space we have, such as like pop-outs and lofts. I also have an intern through BCDM Architects, and they showed me how to use my skills in applications such as Enscape and Revit, which helps me a lot with my capstone classes.
Hi, my name is Sofia Acosta, and I'm a junior in the Science and Research Academy. So our pathways include the PLTW Biomedical Science pathway, which investigates medical mysteries using professional equipment and tools. We have the Medical Research and Health Informatics pathway, which studies human health care to develop solutions for the future. Our Natural and Environmental Science pathway explores the natural world to improve the environment, and our Teaching as a Profession pathway develops the skills for the next generation of educators and leaders. The Science and Research Academy empowers students to step into the role of a scientist, engage in the scientific process, and make the leap from inquiry to discovery. My experience in this academy has been very hands-on and collaborative. I have worked on a year-long project to build a physical model of the human body with a partner, and this has improved my knowledge of the human body as well as my interpersonal skills and my collaboration skills. This academy has also set me up with the experiences and skills that I need to be successful in the next level of science and research opportunities, such as the UNMC High School Alliance, and hopefully this summer, the Creighton University Haddix Internship Program. So a little bit about the High School Alliance. At UNMC, I get to take classes at the Med Center with medical professionals, and it's like a college-style learning, and you get like hands-on experience, and it really pushes you forward in the medical field, just getting those experiences this early. And so through my experiences in the Science and Research Academy and at UNMC, I am looking at a future career in public health. So thank you for listening to our presentation.
As you can see, we have some wonderful students at North High, and if you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to try and answer them.
Lisa?
Wow, I'm impressed with all of you and your program. I'm particularly interested in the teaching as a profession. If you could tell me a little bit more about that. I'm excited about all of it, but in particular, that area, maybe how many students are involved, or a little bit about what that academy includes.
That's a great question. It's part of our grow our own sort of idea within the district of OPS. We know that there's a shortage of teachers, and so that's why all of the 9 high schools will have teaching as a profession pathway in their building. So all students in all 9 high schools will enter into the freshman academy, and then they explore all the options at any given high school before they make a selection. And part of that selection process, or in their first year, they can take the teaching as a profession pathway. So they would go through 3 years of many of those courses being dual enrolled through the universities or through Metro, and they look at starting observations within their second semester of their sophomore year. So they start going out into the community and going into schools and seeing what's happening in those schools. approximately right now in that pathway, so we have 12 pathways at North, and we have approximately 300 students, and there are about 35 in that pathway right now.
Wow.
That does not include the number of Ed Rising students that aren't particularly in the pathway but are participating in that CTSO of Ed Rising, which then they come up and do all sorts of competitions and are heavily involved in the community as well.
Wow, I'm excited about that. Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Yes, go ahead.
This is for either you, Michelle, or Amanda. It's really intriguing to me how you've organized your academies and your pathways. It's unlike what we see typically, where maybe you just have a teaching or teacher ed academy, but you've inserted that under a larger category. I'm just really interested in knowing, how did you decide to organize the academies the way you did?
So that's a great question. Omaha Public Schools hired Still Dynamics, an independent consulting firm, to come in and do an analysis of existing programs before deciding on which schools would have which academies and offerings, especially in anticipation of opening new schools in our district. And so at North, we were a STEM magnet prior to going to wall academies, so a lot of these programs existed, they just weren't formalized as career academies. So we basically took what we were already doing really well and expanded it across our building, so every schooler would have opportunity and access to these programs. And since all of the schools were integrating the teaching as a profession pathway, we wanted it to be integrated into one of the career academies and not exist in isolation. And since we are a STEM heavy school, we decided to focus on teaching as a profession within STEM fields, which also allows some of our students who are interested in STEM to potentially come back and teach in our building. That's the hope.
I have a question since nobody else. I actually have two questions. So you said that you became a model program. I'd like to understand what that means and have the rest of it. And I would like a student to answer that question if it's possible.
I don't know. Anyone?
It's okay.
It's okay.
You go ahead.
Okay. So we couldn't bring our whole group.
Yeah,
so.
that's great.
With that being said, so model status, so when we worked with Steel Dynamics, they also have what are called the National Standards of Practice. So they have 10 standards of practice that each school or academy tries to meet. And so we, as a part of that, we went through like a benchmark a few years ago, and they came in, and, or I guess a baseline is what they call it, and they evaluated us where we were, where they wanted to see improvement, very similar to an accreditation type program. Evaluation. And so we went through our baseline, they gave us some feedback, and then we worked as a team and went through that process again for official evaluation. And that happened in March of 2022, and we received notice right after that that we were able to get model status. That included everything from the curriculum that was being instituted, our partnerships, our advisory boards met with the evaluator team. We had students that were on the teams that met with them. They met with teachers. They toured our school. They toured our facilities. All sorts of things were embedded in this evaluation. So it was a pretty time-intensive program, intense month or two, and the prep for that was a lot. But it was really exciting to see our school be recognized for all of the hard work that the students put in, and that the teachers are backing the students with what they want to do.
So that recognition comes from the National Career Academy Coalition. So the Model Status Achievement is a national recognition, and we are one of 4 model academies within Omaha Public Schools.
Well, it sounds like a reason to be very proud, so congratulations on that. My second question is, and I believe you brought it up, the last speaker, would you explain to the audience what capstone projects are?
You're in a capstone. Yeah, okay. It was. So basically, capstone projects occur in your fourth year or your final year of your pathway. So, like, I'm in a capstone class right now, and basically, that's just taking like all the skills you've learned in your first 3 years and applying them to your last. So, like, my teacher gives us lots of like free reign basically, and we get to choose our projects. So, like, our capstone project is like making the senior video, and like I know for engineering, they usually do like a capstone project. Like last year, students, their capstone project was helping to redesign our parking lot. So it's just basically like a final project of like all the skills you've learned and using the entire year to work on it.
Thank you. Yes.
So I have 2 questions.
Okay.
So my question for the students, how did you decide which program that you wanted? What were the thoughts that went into it? And, how did you make that decision?
So I actually was in news crew in middle school, and my teacher recommended that I join the audio video production program. I wasn't aware that I was necessarily in an academy till last year when we started planning wall to wall. So it was like interesting to go from being like, oh, I'm not a STEM student. That's not me, and realizing that like I am, and I feel like that's really empowered me. So that was kind of my process going through it.
I actually didn't know about the Engineering and Design Academy, but I knew I wanted to do something with engineering, architecture, and construction. And it wasn't until I got my internship through BCDM Architects where I decided I really want to do this as a career. So I talked to Jan Christensen, and she was able to put me in the engineering class, and I really appreciate her for that.
So, like Vivian, my experience started in middle school. I went to a STEM magnet middle school, McMillan, which is one of our feeder schools, and I had a really good experience there with the STEM programs. And I had just heard from alumni of McMillan, go to North, it's really cool. And so I initially started out in 2 different academies. I started in the computer science and the biomedical or science and research academy. And after my freshman year, and my sophomore year, I gained an understanding of the wide variety of STEM programs available to students and the career paths that came with it. And so then I kind of really realized I connected it to my biology class, and I connected it to the classes in my pathways, and I was like, biology is something I'm really into, medicine is something that I'm really intrigued about. So it was just having that opportunity to have those classes and seeing the facilities available to us, and I was like, there's so much available to me as a student, so many opportunities I can take. So that's what really led me to my pathway.
And then my second question is for Michelle and Amanda. So I feel like we get to sit here every month and make decisions that we think are the best decisions, but I like anytime we have presenters to ask, if there were things that you thought, ways that we could support you, or things that you want to make sure that we're doing to try to advocate for teachers in classrooms or different programs in schools, what do you think or what would you like to see as some of those opportunities? Or what do you think are important?
So for us, when we're making decisions and asking teachers to operationalize them, we're also seeking their feedback and input, and we really pride ourselves on prioritizing student voice and being student-centered. And I think when you're in a room full of adults constantly, it's easy to forget the young people that decisions are impacting. So just maintaining that student-centered focus and not getting bogged down in a lot of the layers of navigating decision-making and implementing solutions to problems. The other thing that will come as no surprise to you is we have wonderful people in our building, staff and students. We need more staff. Desperately need more teachers.
I think also in connection with that, if any of you would like to come to North and see firsthand what's happening and what's going on, the support within curriculum, the support of our teachers, and particularly the support of the students, keeping those options open for business partners to come in, helping look at internships and what that means and how, and that experiential learning, we call it experiential learning for any of those job shadows, visits, off field trips, kind of looking at barriers that sometimes come up because trying to get students to be able to do those things. And so really looking at those things would be something else that that's always helpful.
Well, we're all wowed by your communication abilities and everything that you've done and have done as students and teachers, and so proud of your school, and so delighted to have you here with us today. So I'm sending on behalf of the board and our staff gratitude for all of your work as students and as teachers, and keep going. Don't stop now. Thank you for being here. Okay, for the president's report this week, this month, I decided to focus on an educational journey that several of us took this last week to the NASB conference held once a year, and it's 4 days. It actually ended up being 5 days for Lisa and I, but 4 days, well, maybe even for you too. Was it 5 days? Yeah, Patty? Okay. All right, so we were there a long time. And they provided a lot of learning opportunities for us. And I have been several times, and I felt that this time the learning opportunities for the state board members were absolutely phenomenal. We talked about everything, or we listened and talked about principal leadership and new techniques and how to get more principals involved in leadership programs so that they're more prepared to take over schools when they do, which is a really tough job. Also teacher leadership and preparation, and how do we get more teachers into education. Parliamentary procedure. The person that presented that, I wish I would have had as a teacher in high school, so I knew more about it. However, I could go on and on about those, but I'd like to talk about the people that attended with me. Nebraska is a very respected state for education at this conference, and when you go to this conference, not only do you learn a lot, but you suddenly see that Nebraska teachers and Nebraska educators, board members are very well respected. Our staff as well, our commissioner as well. Patty Goebbels is one of the people that attended with me, and she was elected while we were there as the Central States Chair, so she'll be representing us. Nebraska will be represented with a voice. Lisa Fricke was a PEP chair and probably will remain so. Do you want to tell them what PEP stands for?
Public policy positions. Thank you. Public policy positions, and we had 2 additions to the policies. One in the teacher area and one in principal leadership. And they both passed unanimously before the board.
And Lisa was a big part of helping to create that public policy, which was put before the conference representatives and voted on and passed for this year. So she accomplished a lot while she was there. So, and then I was elected for the nominations committee, which we'll see how well I can do with that. But I was very happy to have the nomination. But I was very proud of my board members that were there and how they did throughout the conference and their trust that they built within that conference. So congratulations to you all. And so Nebraska keeps growing and doing great education for their students, and it's because of people like you. Thank you. Agenda item 3.1 and 3.1A. 3.1 is the agenda overview and consent agenda process. Deputy Commissioner Friesen.
I would just ask, are there any items that have been requested to be removed from the consent agenda? And if so, please check in with Brian Halstead. Thank you.
Seeing none. Agenda item 5. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you, Patty.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
The motion has been made to approve the consent agenda. Now, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Robin. Per board policy, there is no discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda. So, Andrea, will you please call the roll?
Fricke,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Penner,
Yes.
Goebbels,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Nichols, Kojons,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
Motion passed. Agenda item 6.1. Vice Chair Robin Stevens will provide a report from the Executive Committee meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Executive Committee has no official report at this time.
Thank you, Robin. Vice Chair Kirk Penner, please provide a report from the Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
Sure. We had a kind of a small crew here. We had some absent members, so it was Jacqueline and I. But we had a good meeting. We reviewed 3 action items with the NDE staff at the direction of the 2 committee members present, which were Jacqueline and I. NDE staff summarized each of the action items and provided additional details as requested. At the direction of the committee, NDE staff will be providing additional information on the ESSER information technology investments for the committee to review at a future meeting. All 3 action items were recommended to be brought forward to the full board by Kirk and Jacqueline. The 2 members of the committee presented also reviewed the monthly board expense report and in-state travel authorization and did not note any issues. This concludes my report.
Kirk, is there a motion on item 6.2C?
Yes. Yep, 6.2C, I move to authorize the commissioner to enter into a contract with a selected qualified vendor to migrate the advisor system from the Nebraska ESU CC network to Microsoft Azure Cloud platform.
Thank you. Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, Andrea, please call the roll.
Neary,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Fricke, Nichols, Goebbels,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Penner,
Yes.
Kojons,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The motion passes. Kurt, is there a motion on item 6.2D?
I move to authorize the Commissioner to approve a continuation grant to the Nebraska Children and Families Foundation to continue the Nurturing Healthy Behaviors / Rooted in Relationships program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Robin. Is there any discussion on this motion? Andrea, please call the roll.
Morrison,
Yes.
Fricky,
Yes.
Nichols, Goebbels,
Yes.
Kojons,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Penner.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The motion passes. Kurt, is there a motion on item 6.2E?
Yes. I move to authorize the Commissioner to contract with the ESUCC to support schools and in districts in implementing high-quality instructional materials.
Is there a second to this motion? Patty?
Second?
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Patty?
You mentioned the NASB conference, and in one of the sessions, they were talking about pandemic recovery plans. And one of the items that they mentioned in terms of being very important is high-quality instructional materials. We've had a great system in Nebraska for high-quality instructional materials, but it's really important for us to continue building that out and providing that support to our teachers.
Thank you, Patty. Is there any further discussion? Andrea, please call the roll.
Stevens,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Kojons,
Yes.
Penner,
Yes.
Goebbels,
Yes.
Nichols, Fricky.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
The motion passes. Agenda item 6.3, Vice Chair Deborah, please provide a report from the Planning and Evaluation Committee meeting.
So we met yesterday, and it was Robin Stevens, myself, and Kirk Penner. Patty Goebbels was absent. We did begin our discussion talking about how well Nebraska students are doing and assessments and test scores. And we are going to have a much larger, in-depth discussion next score. But we agreed that it was kind of important to talk about the NAEP scores that were just released in the last couple of weeks and how well Nebraska students did. No other state scored higher than Nebraska in 4th grade math. Only one state scored higher in 8th grade math, and only 3 states outscored Nebraska in 4th grade reading, and only 7 states scored higher in 8th grade reading. And so these are the kinds of discussions that I'm looking forward to going more in depth when we meet next month. Let's see, no action's going to be taken at this time. And we did have some opportunities to discuss about our reporting system. Another item that was discussed that was originally on the agenda for the board meeting today was the community action plan from the learning community in Omaha. And that, you might have noticed, was removed from the agenda, and they're taking it back to their board for review and discussion, and will be resubmitting it. It's not actually due into the legislature until April 15th, so we do have time, for that to be on our agenda at a later time. And that's all for the report. Any questions?
Any questions or discussion? I did want to bring up, Deborah, that at the conference, several times on the main platform, our accountability and assessment, AQuest, was brought up as a model program. So keep working, keep doing the right things. Deborah, is there any further discussion on the annual plan for Nebraska statewide assessment and reporting system? Do you have anything else to say about that? Okay. Vice Chair Lisa Fricke, please provide a report from the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting.
Be happy to, Madam Chair. The Committee on Rules and Regulations reports on its Thursday, November 3rd meeting. The committee reviewed the report on rules. The report is attached in SPART for your reading. We received an update from NDE staff. Her name was Lindy Foley. She did a nice job explaining the repeal of Rule 72, cost sharing and cost containment rules for vocational rehabilitation services, and an update on Rule 71, procedures for formal review of vocational rehabilitation determinations. NDE staff will be reporting back to the committee as revisions are made to the rules over the expanse of a year. The committee received an update from NDE staff on Rule 23, regulations for basic skills, and the staff member will report back to the committee with alternatives to the praxis, looking into what other states have successfully done, because we want to make sure that whatever we do is the end game is quality teachers in the field of education. So that will be coming to us probably next month. The committee discussed the legislative and regulatory priorities within NDE staff and discussed the draft priority areas. Board members are encouraged to review the document and provide feedback to Ryan for. It's really important, please, board members, look at that, study it, and get back to Ryan for as soon as possible. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any discussion or questions for Lisa? Oops, I didn't see you over there again.
Patty also had her hand up too, so. So as far as the legislative priority document that Lisa discussed, we had some additional discussion about it. One of the things I think is going to be key is for us to have a document that we can pass in December so that we have it solidified going into the next legislative session. Session will start, I believe, before we have our next board meeting in January. And so if it feels like it's rushed, it's pushed in the interest of trying to get it done rather quickly. And so we just want to make sure that we do have that framework ready to go. And so that's the reason we are asking people to provide their feedback. I think our committee, if you provide that feedback to Ryan or to someone on our committee, we will discuss it in the December meeting and then hopefully have it ready to vote on by December. And so it'll just be imperative that we get that feedback soon.
Thank you for explaining that. I think that was good. Okay, Patty?
Yeah, my question was just specifically, I think it will help all of us if we have a specific deadline for when we need to provide that feedback, because otherwise it's really easy not to put something like that on our calendars and the time slips by. So if you have a particular date by which you'd like that, that would be helpful.
I would say within 2 weeks. I don't have a calendar in front of me. To 18th, November 18th. Thank you very much. I think it's imperative that you read the document and provide feedback. Legislators are already talking about bills that they're working on or plan to work on, and if we can get our priorities to them as soon as possible, they can see what they're working on and what we have as a priority, and gives them an opportunity to work with NDE in the progression of that bill. So please, by November 18th, get your feedback to Dr. Ryan Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Patty? Or I'm sorry. Patty didn't have her hand up. Jacqueline?
So I just, wanted to give just a little bit more context too. I know at the last meeting we had, there was some discussion about this document maybe bleeding over into, that's a really bad word, but but this document kind of inching into the strategic planning space, or, you know, being something greater. I think for the time being, and just with the timeline that we have, it's probably best, in my opinion, to look at it as we passed a resolution saying we were going to aim for 70% attainment. This is kind of going to be our guiding document in terms of legislative priorities and what we'd like to see from the legislature to help us get there. And so if we kind of look at it with that lens and keep that framework, I think it is something that we can actually do within the next month and get ready. So just wanted to add that context as well.
Thank you. I liked your changing of the verbs too. Inching is not so frightening. Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Yes, Kurt.
So this is where some of the changes in certification that we talked about a little bit in the past. Was that going through the rules and regulations? We were talking a little bit about that, and
Lisa.
help me out.
Within the priority document, from what I can recall, there's a section on teacher shortage.
Okay.
So when you talk about teacher shortage, you're talking about ways to certification.
Right.
So I would think that would suffice it to say that, yes, it's in there.
Okay.
Jacqueline?
I think it's prior. I think I see it here. So okay. I'll
Jacqueline?
look through it. Thank you.
Oh,
I just also wanted to say, Kirk, to that point, I think we have two kind of moving pieces. One was the part that Lisa talked about with Dirk, is that we are exploring our own regulation, which is something we promulgated from the department and had passed, and that's something we're going to have to change within internally. So that's the part where we're going back and we've asked the department to bring us a couple of options about what certification could look like and how it could look differently. I think we can put it on this priority list because it's something that we want to do, but I also think it's hard for us to tell the legislature what we'd like them to do when we haven't decided internally the best path that we want to advocate for. And so I think the two are going to have to eventually move together, but one might be putting the cart before the horse if we haven't decided internally, here's the path that we think is the best to change the certification. So.
thank you, Jacqueline. Any further discussion? Agenda items 7 and 7.1, Chair Patty Goebbels, please provide a report from the Ad Hoc Search Committee.
Thank you. The Ad Hoc Search Committee members, just to refresh your memory, are Patty Goebbels, Patsy Kojans, Jacqueline Morrison as board members, and Brian Halstead, Ryan Four from staff. The Ad Hoc Search Committee reports that the committee met on Tuesday, October 11th to review and discuss State Board of Education member feedback on the draft Commissioner Search Firm request for proposal and finalize that RFP. The committee considered avenues for publishing the RFP, reviewed and updated the Commissioner Search timeline through December 1st, 2022. The committee also met on Monday, October 17th to review and revise the draft search firm selection rubric. Following the November 2nd, 2022 deadline, the search firm proposal submission staff will conduct a pre-review to assure that proposals have met minimum submission requirements. Committee members will complete individual reviews using the search firm selection rubric. The committee will meet on November 9th and 10th if necessary to narrow the prospective search firms to the top 3 or 4 candidates. The selected firms will present to the full State Board of Education at our December meeting. The committee met on November 3rd, 2022 to receive an update on submitted proposals and determine if proposals have met those minimum submission requirements. Minimum proposal requirements have been met by 5 firms. Search committee members will review the submissions in the next week individually to identify the top 3 or 4 proposals. So we'll review individually and then we will meet together to make that determination. The committee initiated a discussion about the process to be used for search firm presentations to be held in December. This concludes the Ad Hoc Search Committee report.
Thank you, Patty. Is there any further discussion or questions?
How many total did you have? I know you say 5 met the minimum.
We had 5 submitted and 5 met the requirements.
And any other questions or discussion? Yes, Lisa.
I just want to thank the members of that ad hoc, including staff. That's a really tough decision that needs to be made, and the rubric that I've seen is very, very stellar, and the work that they've done so far, I've been very impressed. It says it's very important to get the best commissioner we have, and that's their theme in getting this done, and I appreciate their work very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Jacqueline?
I don't want to overstep my chair, but I just also wanted to let board members know there's likely going to be communication from the Ad Hoc Search Committee to board members within the next couple of weeks, maybe within the next week and a half after we review some of those RFPs, about the process that will happen in December and what that will look like. And so just encouraging you all to read your emails, stay up to date on your communications, because there's going to be a lot of moving pieces between now and that December board meeting. And in order for us to effectively get your feedback and to make sure we incorporate that, you guys are going to have to be super engaged almost weekly. So just letting you guys know you'll see something from us pretty soon.
Patty, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. Don't expect anything before November 9th or 10th, okay? Because we won't be communicating with you until after we have had a chance to meet again to really figure out what it is we need to communicate with you, if that makes sense. Not what it is, but how we're going to do that and what kind of feedback we need from you at this point.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Any further discussion? Okay. Agenda items 9.1 through 9.4. The next items are information items and written reports for the board and for our information only. Agenda item 10. This section of the agenda is intended for board members to offer informal observations of the work of the state board. Board members may make brief announcements about attendance at future events for the purpose of informing others. Board members, no business or motions or suggested actions of the board may be offered at this point in the agenda, nor should board members engage in substantive discussion about other agenda items or introduce any new items. So, do any of you have information for the good of the order? Patty?
In looking at the travel requests, I was really happy to see that we have such great representation of board members attending the NASB conference in November. And I'm really looking forward to our listening session that some of the board members will have with local school board members and superintendents.
Thank you, Patty. Any other ideas for the good of the order? Okay, seeing none. Already done that. Okay, thank you for those who attended in person and who tuned to into the broadcast. The next meeting of the State Board of Education, next meetings of the State Board of Education are scheduled for December 1st and 2nd, 2022 in Lincoln, Nebraska. The November 4th, 2022 State Board meeting is now adjourned.